All right. So it has been, I know it's been a long time, and this is about to sound insane, but it's about God's plan and never truly ours. So what I was working on, I still have like it near, um and everything that we had went over and introduced ourselves to with our worksheets, well, with the print offs that I came up with, were great. Well, obviously I needed to like chat GPT too, so it's not just my come ups. But so where I'm at now, I pretty much I got all those up, with you guys. I haven't done any without you. So I ended up being on number 4. That's where I stopped because I haven't done a YouTube. And so on number 4 though, it says it's talking more about the fake love, basically, and how it's a heavy target to for believers, as prey. And it again, so here we go. It's saying what you're describing fits a pattern that's best observed and written about in biblical and spiritual discussions. In the last days, many Christians understand that the adversary Satan is increasingly using deception, temptation, and emotional manipulation to draw believers away from God. Specifically, using people in fake love can be very effective for a few reasons. And then it gives us 5 reasons. We're going to dive into those 5 reasons for sure. But I want to at least just start off by saying this was the beginning of it all. Remember when we started April 9th, 2026 at 3:53. I don't know if that was AM or PM. The first, and we numbered them. Number 1. It says when what you're describing fits a pattern, because remember we were using ChatGPT. So what you're describing fits a pattern that speaks about in the Bible, biblical and spiritual discussions. In the last days, many Christians understand that the adversary Satan is increasingly using deception, temptation, and emotional manipulation to draw believers away from God. Specifically, using people and fake love can be very effective for a few reasons. That literally sounds like the same exact paperwork, right? The same exact print-offs. No, this is a different print-off, but this is number 1. So this is number 4. And I realized while I was going over it, it was kind of hard to do because where I'm at right now in life, and not even just where I'm at in life. I have a daughter. I also have siblings, friends. I have a big following. If you haven't checked my Instagram out, it should be in my bio. I've always been a social media influencer module since 2014 when I was like 14 years old. That's when it started. And so I've been taking this journey very serious. And one thing that I have been kind of upset with myself about, which is why I have been MIA, and it's wrong for me to like withdraw and do the whole recluse thing, because I found a humiliating mistake within this path that I'm taking. And it's okay. And that's what I'm learning. It's okay to find those humiliating mistakes and accept those, and because God will give us grace, instead of hiding from them. So when I was doing that, I have been doing a lot of these works, and where these came from, remember I kept saying, I don't even know where these sects came from. I just made them and they came up. Where these came from was a place in my heart where I'm still operating off of relationships. I'm literally trying to build myself up to be the best wife, to be the best partner. And there's no problem with that. I'm not saying that right there is a sin in itself and it's wrong and it's selfish, but it is selfish as far as what God created me personally first. When he created me and he thought of me and put me in my mama's stomach, it wasn't just to be a wife. And that goes for any woman. That goes for my daughter. I don't want to, because my daughter, I'm dealing with the court stuff right now, because her father got upset with me because I left him. So he ran off and kept her, kidnapped her, but we never, after paternity, we never did a court custody agreement. We just had a verbal agreement. So he was able to take her in the state of Missouri. If both parents are on the birth certificate, there's nothing no one can do. You have to go to court. So we will be going to our first court hearing May 21st. So I'm super excited. I'm so ready to see my daughter, but I'm glad that God has given me the grace as far as humility goes to see where I've been messing up, because I don't want to teach my daughter any of this, honestly, right now. Later, yes. But right now, no, she doesn't need to. It literally says, what's the difference between an anxious attachment style and just wanting people to be their best self? Like, that's still a relationship dynamic. And that goes back to page 1. I don't need to try and like do this based off of this whole journey to figure out if somebody wants to marry me, or because basically what I'm doing is performing. I'm out here performing to be accepted. And I've done that ever since I got put out, ever since I accepted Jesus Christ, because I had nobody else. So what that means is, what I'm doing is accepting Jesus Christ, but then when I realize I can't be Jesus Christ in my own life, or I get sick and tired of waiting for God, and working with Christ, I end up going to man and thinking, okay, well, I got time to be a wife. I got time to look for a husband. First of all, it's he who finds a wife. I'm not supposed to look for a husband. While I've been looking for a husband, I've also been looking for respect. Also, the Bible says the woman is to respect her husband, and the husband is to love his wife. I've been sitting here demanding respect like I'm a man. That's what that's what this paperwork came from, because I was trying to figure out how can I get respect from the man that broke my heart the last time. So now I'm literally thinking I was going to do paperwork to heal and find another husband. Like, how many husbands have I had? And we know that this is a story in the Bible. I also have this engagement ring. I have 3 different boxes over there. That's only because those are the ones that I kept and decided to keep, or that the man let me keep. I've had over 3 to 4 to 5, 6 different engagement rings. Same, different man. But I chose the same ring like 4 times. I'm not proud of that. But so that's obviously, honestly, not even the problem. God has blessed me and given me that as well. But I have been the problem. I can still be the problem. And just not even to mention that, God's really not going to ordain that in my life. And if that's what I'm idolizing and that's what I'm worried about. So, though, what we're going to do is not even briefly, we're gonna go ahead and go over. So number 1, the first printout that we did all together and stuff was the dynamic of the believer and the unbeliever, remember? And how somehow the believer and the unbeliever always be trying to be in a relationship and be in love, and we knowing that it ain't working or ain't gonna work. But I was trying to coach myself to figure out how to make it work. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so now we're on 4, because we did 3. I already did 3 with you guys. And what 4 says is, we already read the first part, which goes back to number 1. And I realized that I was messing up by trying to make all of this about a man, or a relationship. So it says, a lot of this fake love stuff and this whole deception and temptation and emotional manipulation that is able to draw believers away from God. There's a few reasons that it can be so effective. 1, exploiting natural human needs. Humans are wired for connection, intimacy, and affection. The adversary can exploit those needs by presenting counterfeit love or relationships that feel fulfilling, but ultimately lead to compromise or distraction from God. Then it says 2, blurring lines between truth and deception. By using someone who seems caring or spiritual, the adversary creates confusion. So in this case, I can't, because a lot of this stuff I have based off of, I feel like other people who were seeming spiritual and caring. Because remember, I was saying that they have been deceiving and, they're getting over, and Satan is using the devil's using them and blah, blah, blah. Well, I've also been an instrument of the adversary, of Satan, because it says by using someone. It doesn't say just men. It says by using someone, which means man or woman, transgender, hermaphrodite, whatever, who seems caring or spiritual. And I wasn't doing these things on purpose, but this is what has been happening because I've been idolizing a wife, to be a wife or to have a husband. So what I've been doing is coming off as like this biblical, wholesome woman, but truly behind closed doors, when I find out that that man is not who I want him to be or who I feel like he should be, I'm beating the sheep. I'm giving him a hard time. I'm convicting him. I'm basically doing to him what Jesus was out here, and was made to do, which Jesus wasn't even here to just condemn and, and cast us to hell. He was here, though, to help us as far as our convictions go. Yes, when it comes to the body of Christ, and remember, we did talk about that in one of these, which is actually a good one I still use, the one that talks about not a boundary issue, it's a violation. Basically, remember how we like the truth. We can be thinking we're talking the truth and doing the good, spreading the good news, but we're not coming from a good light. We're not in the right, we're not humble enough. We're not meek enough to even be doing it in a way that is pleasing God and helping others in order to come to Christ and be able to be saved. And so that was actually something that I've been noticing, and not even just with relationships, because like I said, I have to get out of that, focusing everything on relationships. I've been doing that with my mom. I've been doing that. I even did that when my daughter was around. Something might go wrong, and especially with a relationship, because this is what I've been doing, making everything based off of. Ever since I got put out at 15 years old, that is something that I ended up attracting myself to, and performing and feeling like, I needed a place to stay. I needed to be accepted. I didn't want to be raped. I didn't want to be did like this. So I felt like I had to perform the correct ways, in the proper and the most perfect ways, in order to be what I wasn't, because I knew who I was not. But I didn't want to continue to be pushed out, when I'd already been pushed out by my mom and my dad and my family, because, I got pregnant at such a young age and didn't, abort the child. So I wanted to, obviously be accepted and fit in somewhere and, feel something. And now that's something that I've been doing for so long. And if I don't have the control, or if I'm not able to control the man, and I guess now I've realized that I'm doing it with the biblical stuff, and that's the wrong way, because in the Bible, it tells us about the story with the bridesmaids, the 10 bridesmaids, and the groom, one groom, and how the women were supposed to be ready with the oil and the lamp and, all of that. And then also talks about the men with the talents and whatnot, and how the servant master gave them the talents and entrusted them, and they were supposed to do what they were supposed to do with them in order to receive more. I cannot receive more if I'm still literally forcing myself to try to figure this out in a different way. Printouts, papers, printouts, figuring out, okay, it didn't work that way. Let me try this. Oh, okay, wasn't respect. Let me try this. Like, I have to get out of that, because I have burned so many bridges. I have dismantled so many relationships that were being created or that were already established, because something's not going right with this man. He's not picking up. He's not showing traits of wanting to be a husband, but we done had intercourse. He wants to, he's calling me. He's my man. He's calling himself my man. But still, yeah, even though, yes, those are wrong, I'm not praising him. I'm not saying that, yeah, that means I got to lay down, get down, and just do whatever this darn dog, dirty man done, is forcing me to do. No, I don't, because I'm not married. But guess what? If I get married, yes, the heck I would. Because it says the wife is to submit to the husband. The husband leads, he comes first, then she comes, then. So, yeah. But anyways, so I became that person who seemed caring or spiritual, but actually the adversary was creating a confusion. And I was taking, like I said, I was taking it out on my mom. I would come home and be kind of like, I'm not feeling none of this. I don't want to help you out. I don't want to do nothing. I don't even want to talk. Like, I barely even want to be nice because of what might have happened outside of that. And because I'm making myself believe that that's all I'm worth. And if I can't get a husband, or if I can't be somebody or multiple people's wives, then I amount to nothing. And that actually has to upset God. That has to, anger him and really sadden his heart too, because I am someone that is choosing Christ, but I am also not dying to the flesh fully. I'm learning and I'm going, and because it's not going to happen overnight. Well, it can happen overnight. It's happening overnight. But just because you come to Christ does not mean all of it is going to happen overnight. Let's say you're a thief, you're a booger picker, you eat your dandruff from your scalp, you don't clean up, you don't wash in between your butt crack, you don't wash up at all. Like, all of those things aren't going to just wash away clean. God can't just wash you away clean like we think baptism truly does for us. No, we have a life full of work, a life full of preservation, and a life full of nothing but wanting this, so that God can open our eyes, so that when we do make these simple, silly mistakes, wasting paper, wasting trees, and print offs, then you can have that grace, because you've got not only asked for forgiveness, but you've forgiven yourself for the, not even just the something that you've done now recently that you realized, but also for the past things. Because now what I'm realizing is, I thought I was doing so well, and I'm the best person to come to for advice for forgiveness, right? But one thing I've learned is I've forced myself to forgive others. I've forced myself to forgive others.